Hi everyone. I thought it would be kind of a fun thing to talk to you today about my healing journey with Hashimoto's thyroiditis and maybe offer a couple of different ideas that may be very new to some people, but something to consider. Just a quick story about me. I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's about, I want to say, 4 years ago. And at the time, I felt great. I was a spinning instructor, I was a vegetarian. I thought I was like this super healthy person. I felt fine. So I didn't take it seriously. And I went back two subsequent times to my naturopath, and my numbers just kept getting worse and worse, and still didn't take it seriously until I started to have symptoms. I started to get really, really tired. I couldn't get through the day without one or two naps. I started losing my hair. My skin got dry like a lizard. I had brain fog. I gained so much weight. And I couldn't understand why, because I was a spinning instructor and I worked out all the time and I was a vegetarian and I had a low-fat diet. So none of it made sense to me, but that's when I really started taking it very seriously. And I had a conversation with my naturopath who thought maybe I should try to go on, I just got to get this out of here, what's it called, Armor Thyroid, because she knows I like to do things very naturally. I'm a manual therapist. I work in the holistic field, so I work with a lot of people who are ill or in pain. So I see a lot of different conditions and a lot of things that work and that don't work. And I hadn't seen too many people with Hashimoto's that were really getting results with the conventional method, the hormone replacement, the Synthroid, the Levox, the thyroid, or whatever it's called. And so I thought, well, yeah, that's an option, but it's not going to be my first line of defense. I want to try other things first. And so I started to research it, and what I learned, what I knew, but it really hit it home for me, was that this is not a problem with my thyroid. This is a problem with my immune system. So to just focus on supporting the thyroid is not actually going to fix the underlying problem. And if over time, the immune system's still going to be fighting my thyroid, and eventually it's going to win and it'll burn it out altogether. And then I'll always need to be on these hormones. So I decided I wanted to try to find a way to calm down my immune system, just introduce my thyroid and my immune system to each other and let them be buddies again. I also know that if you don't address the immune system, you might get other autoimmune diseases. So that wasn't something that was attractive to me either. So I decided to go the natural route. So I'm on no hormones at all, but I do a lot of the things that are recommended, like the selenium, the vitamin D. I support my digestive tract because everybody that studies autoimmune disease will tell you that it's often a problem that starts in the gut from gut permeability. So I've been doing a lot of work on upgrading my digestive system and bringing in all this healthy bacteria with fermented foods, and that's probably my primary focus, is doing a detox, a cleanse, just to get all that out. I do the sauna, I do the dry skin brushing to get the lymphatic system moving, to just detoxify. But one thing that I also do that you don't usually hear people talk much about is I also address the energy aspect of what's going on. If you Google anything on Hashimoto's, it's always about the physical, chemical, dietary supplements. Nobody ever talks about the energy aspect. And there's obviously a misconnect if your immune system is attacking yourself. So there's something off with your energy field as well. And if that's not also addressed and brought into balance, I don't believe that it's ever going to be satisfactorily addressed moving forward in life. So with that said, I do a lot of unusual things, let's say, that involve bringing in an energy component into my healing as well. And I'll go over those with you one by one, and maybe you can start to get a sense of what I'm talking about if you're not an energy person. The first thing I do is I use this device called a Scanner device. And this was invented by the Russian aeronautical team to give their astronauts in space something to take with them in case they ran into any kind of illness or injury, or they'd be able to help themselves. So this is a cool little device. It's electrotherapy, basically. It is transdermal electrotherapy that communicates with the neural system, and it sends impulses to the brain, and the brain in turn sends antibodies or whatever to help heal that area. So what I do is I just turn it on, and there's different settings for different problems. So I use the setting for inflammation, because as you know, anything that ends in itis is an inflammatory response. So I usually just use it on my thyroid. It feels like little tingling. And this is a professional model, and it was quite expensive, but you can get these now on Amazon, and they're a lot cheaper. They make them more for the home use now. So, a couple $100. This was $4,000, so don't buy this one. But this is what it looked like. If you can see it. Oops, it's upside down. Okay, so that's what it looks like. And like I said, there's smaller models for home use that have not quite as much of variability on the settings, but enough for what you would need it for. And they have a whole autoimmune protocol as well that encompasses all of the aspects of the immune system. So like the tonsils, the thymus gland, the spleen, the spleen, the digestive tract, all your lymph nodes, the whole lymphatic system, that's all part of your immune system. So this would work on that, and I do this probably 4 or 5 times a week. The next thing I do, I'm very big into sound therapy. I believe that different frequencies affect different parts of our bodies. Our bodies are vibrating in frequencies all the time. We all have our own energy signature, and even all of our organs and cells and everything vibrates to its own frequency. And so the thyroid has its own frequency, but when it's under attack or when it's diseased or ill, it's gonna the frequency is gonna be thrown off a little bit. So I use a tuning fork that I had specially made for the thyroid frequency, which is 492.8 hertz. And I just tap it. Can you hear it? And I just hold it all. I just use it all around my thyroid just to get that thyroid tuned back into the proper frequency. There's a lot of benefit in sound healing. There's a lot of studies out there now that show how our bodies are basically like an instrument that can be tuned up with the proper frequency. So I use this a lot. Next thing is I also, as well as sound, I use light. So I've been reading a lot of studies that talk about how infrared light has been shown to heal hypothyroid. So I got this little laser, and I'm not going to be able to show it to you because you can't actually see infrared light, but I turn it on and I just rub my thyroid all over with it and let the light penetrate, and the light will communicate with the cells and activate what needs to be done in there. So again, this is just an infrared light. You can Google and you can find studies that show that infrared light, they're working a lot with light and sound in a lot of these autoimmune diseases. So you can, if you don't believe me, you can look for your own research. It's out there. This I just got off of Amazon. You can just get it looks like a gun-mounted thing, but it's an infrared sight, and it just needs to be some type of laser infrared, okay? The next thing I do is I do something called kinesiology. So a lot of the things that contribute to autoimmune disease are obviously environmental toxins, metals, fungus, mold, bacteria, viruses, anything that has been attacking us and that our immune system has not been able to fight effectively will kind of trigger an autoimmune response. So I have a whole bunch of these little vials. I do this type of work, but you can find a practitioner that does this. And we test to see what substance that is in my body that I'm fighting off that could be standing in the way of complete healing. So mercury, aluminum, a lot of us test positive for, what's that stuff, that Roundup, I forget the name of the, glyphosate. A lot of us have glyphosate. There's PFOAs in the drinking water in my town. I mean, we're bombarded with these chemicals. So in addition to detoxing physically with chlorella, clay, coffee enemas, detoxing agents, I also do an energetic detox with these vials, and I use a laser light. Okay. Again, you might not know how to do this, but there are practitioners throughout the country that do it. The technique was developed by Dr. Doug Phillips, and it's called laser energetic detox. And it just is that next level of helping the body to detoxify, okay? And last but not least, I use what's called a remedy maker. And I told you I don't take any kind of thyroid hormone or anything, but what I do is I use the frequencies of a thyroid hormone. So I get a copy of the frequency, say Synthroid or Armor, and I will make a copy of the frequency on this little machine. And I got this from the Klinghardt Institute, Dietrich Klinghardt. You can find him online. I'll put some of these links at the bottom. And when you turn it on, you can have the frequency on here, and you use this little light pen, and let me just put this on here. See, and you just, again, so now I have the frequency and the light, and I just use it on my thyroid. I can use all different types of frequency patterns. I could use it on my lymphatic system. I could just, the sky's the limit when you're working with frequency patterns. So that's what I've been doing in addition to all of the chemical processes. Like I said, there's always multi-layers of healing, and you have to address the energetic component as well. Medicine is finally starting to catch up with acknowledging that we do have this energy field, and a lot of what's going on in our bodies actually either starts out in the energy field or it's projected into the energy field, so you cannot ignore it. Also, one last thing, I do sort of like a little meditation where I visualize my thyroid and I visualize my immune system, and I visualize them kind of like meeting up and becoming friends, basically, you know, and there's such huge power in visualization. So if you take like a few minutes as you're falling asleep or when you get out of bed in the morning, and you just start kind of touching the different parts of your immune system and your thyroid and just kind of joining them up energetically, like your spleen and your thyroid, your tonsils and your thyroid, and just kind of introducing them again, reintroducing and sending love and good thoughts to both your thyroid and your immune system, because your immune system's not the bad guy, it's just trying to do its job. And it's lost its way a little bit, so we need to kind of reintroduce and reintegrate everything, and a really great way to do that is with energy work. So I'll have the links at the bottom, and hopefully that gives you a little bit to think about and another layer that you can add on to your healing. So good luck in your journey, and I will see you soon. Bye.